welcome to this episode of Impacted, brought to you by the Total Nonstop Impact Network. And today I am joined by two brothers from other mothers. First of all, coming in from the void in the empty space of his own mind, we have the Joker.
Good morning.
Morning, brother. Hope you're well. And you may also have noticed that there's another handsome young man coming in from the very messy space of his bedroom, simply known as Steve.
Hello, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back with you guys. I'm looking forward to getting into everything that impacted this week on Impact Wrestling.
Oh, look at you with your intro. Look at this clever boy. Loving life. Okay, hey, it's good to see you boys. Obviously, guys, we had an audio only with Steve a couple of weeks ago, but Steve was able to join us again today to do the, which is primarily a news and review of Hard to Kill this past week on Impact. Now, yeah, a lot to get into. Let's quickly get into the news first, boys. I think if we can get over some of the sort of common news, the rumours-y type stuff, then I think that we can get that over and done with fairly quickly, and then we can get into the meat and the potatoes, right? So, very first thing I wanted to quickly talk about, Ethan Page. Now, at Hard to Kill, we had the Karate Man, I don't know, cartoon thing. I don't know. So we had the Ethan Page versus Karate Man. Personally, I mean, it was just about long enough. It had a few funny little bits in there. It was what it was. But he seemed to not be too happy with it, a little bit butthurt. So, what are your thoughts on what's been going on with Ethan since Hard to Kill on Saturday, Joe?
Well, I know the backstory to it. It was originally scheduled to be Josh Alexander versus Ethan Page at Hard to Kill, to then push Josh Alexander onto the singles competition. Scott D'Amore, Ethan Page had put the idea to Scott D'Amore a couple of months earlier. Scott D'Amore washed his hands of it, and Ethan Page wanted to basically make a new Broken Universe to try and outdo Matt Hardy. And Don Callis was saying to him over and over again, "It's not going to work. You can't. Don't bother trying to outdo it. It's just not going to work, and you're not giving us enough time to get it all together."
No, I think at the end of the day, it was never going to be that, was it? Because that all those things took so long to sort of kind of like build, put together. The ideas were there. You had the in-ring build. You had all sorts of stuff going on, whether it be, the decay or delete or whichever one it was that they were doing, the Hardy compound stuff. At the end of the day, they were done really, really well, like really well. So to top them just with sort of kind of green screen stuff.
The biggest problem for me was only Ethan Page's diehard fans would have got what was going on, because the Karate Man was only like briefly introduced to Impact Wrestling. If you followed Ethan Page on his socials, you know that the Karate Man's a bit more of a regular figure there, or on the Talking Shop with the Good Brothers.
Yeah, I know that they did a couple of. I mean, he's been doing a lot of work on the indies. What about yourself, Steve? What were your thoughts on all of this that went on?
Yeah, I mean, it did feel like it was a plan for Josh and Ethan to face each other, and then at the last minute, the Karate Man sort of came out of nowhere and they changed plans, which did sort of jolt the storyline. And Ethan is one of these people who, you can see in everything he does, he has a high standard for like everything. So for him to not be happy for it, you can maybe understand, because he wants everything to be 100%, or that's not good enough.
Right.
But yeah, this isn't on Impact. This is Ethan. So
exactly.
I mean, they may have had like 30% of the help, but 70% of it is Ethan. So if he's not happy, he's got to be unhappy with himself, because he's the one who's put the majority of the work in it. When I first heard it, I thought it was maybe a work, because he was trying to blur the line between, okay, I'm unhappy with it, let's see how far we can push this storyline. But the further it goes on, it is a case of just throwing his toys out the pram.
So great.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that as well. I think that is exactly what's going on here. I think, he wanted it to be all about him, rather than, putting his best mate Josh over. To me, that speaks volumes about him as opposed to, necessarily what was then put out at Hard to Kill. Personally, I think it was a complete waste of time and didn't need to be there really. And I would have put the Josh and Brian Myers match on the main card, to be honest. But there you go. Let's face it. I mean, I think we're all in agreement now that clearly, Ethan Page is gone.
Yeah, I say good luck to him. I got a lot of respect for him as an athlete, but I think he's just handled the situation a bit childish.
It's a shame because he's a fantastic talent, and like you say, it's one of those things where sometimes the talent he's got has sometimes got that step ahead of him.
Yeah. You might be right there, Steve. You might be right. Now, moving on from that, because I think we're all sort of fairly in agreement that he sort of kind of burnt a bridge there and was sort of kind of just basically being a bit of a crybaby. But good luck to him wherever he goes. I've enjoyed we've all enjoyed their work, especially as part of the North. I mean, they ended up being the longest reigning tag champions of, in Impact TNA history. So, you can't take away any of the accomplishments. It's just a shame that, it then was soured at the end, which from all intents and purposes looks like, it's 50-50, or they call it, 6 of one and half a dozen, half a dozen
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
That's it, So that's the way it looks like to me. But there you go. But onto some more sort of impressive news. This past week on Impact, we saw the return of Matt Hardy, and which was absolutely superb. And he didn't come alone, did he? Because he brought a tag team from AEW, Private Party. What are your thoughts on this, guys? I mean, you got the Hardys. You got Matt Hardy and his big money Matt as well. So it's not like it's a Matt Hardy version that we've not seen before. So we got big money Matt back on Impact. He's brought Private Party, who are a very, very talented tag team from the AEW tag team division. What are your thoughts?
Private Party for me. I watched them from the start when AEW was going. They stood out to me a lot, and to get someone finally behind them to really put them back in the spotlight like Matt Hardy is fantastic. And Matt Hardy's now, this is like his third incarnation of Big Money Mac. If you look at Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling, he's reinvented that again. It's not a recycled product, even if it's a character we've seen before. Matt Hardy, he cut such a good promo when he come in, and everyone watching on Twitch with me and the guys on TNI in the US, everyone went batshit crazy. We did not expect to see Matt Hardy come out, and it was just brilliant. It was so well put together.
So clever, totally unexpected. And, again, one of the first surprises that it looks like we're going to get, which I thought was superb. And, again, we didn't have Kenny Omega this week, but what we did get was, Matt Hardy. We got Tony Khan turn up with Jerry Lynn, and sitting in the audience for the match that they had, and he was actually there in the Impact Zone, sat ringside, watching his signed team, Private Party versus the James Storm, which is the next thing to come, because James Storm also made his comeback again, because we didn't see him much at the last set of tapings, but it was great to see him back in the ring. It was great to see Beer Guns back together again. I don't know whether this was possibly going to happen anyway, or whether when they found out about Alex Shelley, it was right, what are we going to do? Get on the phone to James Storm, get him in, I think, I thought this was great. Any time James Storm is on Impact is great for me, right? Am I right, Steve?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been a huge fan of James Storm, even in the NWA days when he was in AEW. America's Most Wanted with the Wildcat. and they were running the tag team division back then, and then Beer Money, and then his feud with Eric Young over the beer drinking contest.
Yep.
Then, that he's done it all in TNA, and I mean he had a brief run of world champion, but it's just a shame he never got that real.
He didn't have a proper run, did he? It was
No.
he pretty much won it.
Yeah.
I think within a week or so, it was gone again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So real shame, really, because you're right. I think James Storm, again, he's so good on the mic. He's a great competitor.
He's got it all, hasn't he?
You believe he's so believable when he's in the ring. He sells well. He's a proper, what I class is sort of kind of like old school badass. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly what he is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping James is around for a little bit longer.
I am. I mean, given that he came back last time and then he was gone again within, not even like you said, a set of tapings. I'm hoping that this time he does stick around a lot longer. I mean, when we saw him, we were like, yes, Storm's back. But you kind of have in that half heart, like when we saw Cardona, you kind of think maybe he's just set around for a set of tapings. I mean, a set of tapings is a set of tapings. Great. He'll be around for a while because these set of tapings will last for a while. But you do have it in that heart, your heart of heart, it's only a set of tapings. You want Storm back for good.
Totally.
Because he is a TNA original.
Yeah, and he looks great, doesn't he, Joe? He looks
He does, yeah.
Yeah, we said it when we saw him. I think it was at Slammiversary of Bound for Glory. He looks absolutely jacked. And Storm then said that he's there for the short term and he's going to go away and spend more time with his family. So to see him come back again, it was a bigger shock than seeing Matt Hardy come out. And again, everybody on Twitch, I think Jabo nearly had a heart attack. He was so excited.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's superb when you see guys like that. You know how big they were. You know, back in the TNA days, they were huge. When you see these guys coming back, it's a big deal. You know, I mean, we had some news that ODB's also going to be coming back to Impact Wrestling. You know, it's interesting. Where do we think ODB fits in now? I'm going to say it. I think she's going to come back in her purest form.
Oh yeah, she's going to come back one dirty bitch. She's after Deonna Purrazzo. She's made that clear already. So because Taya Valkyrie's been gone, so we need someone else to fill the void while we work out who is going to be next for Deonna Purrazzo. So ODB is always a good fit to just bung in there and really raise some hell.
But I mean, she's not. This is, I believe, from what I could tell, it's not just appearance with this set of tapings. She's going to be here for a while. So I think for her to be here for a while, she's got to be in something. She's got to be interjected into a storyline of such. So I think the obvious place for her would be to go alongside Dina and Eric Young, and end up being baptized into the purest form of ODB. That's my feeling on that one. It makes sense to me. Can you imagine her? She goes out, she has a match. It's not going too well. So, the guys come down to the ring, get her out of that situation or whatever, drag her away. The next thing you know, she's in prison getting
Has
baptized.
ODB ever worked as a heel before?
Yes. Yeah, she's it's weird actually.
Oh yeah, she did when she was with Jackie Moore briefly, didn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's again with ODB, she kind of is a heel, but at the same time she's a face, so she's a bit of a tweener, really. But yeah, I think this is the challenge for her, is going full heel. If she can go, and I think maybe that's what's attracted her in, working with EY again, and getting to be something that she's probably not normally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Doing something fresh, doing something different. That's my thought. I mean, I don't know. It's just my opinion. She could just be coming in for like you say, a run for a chance at the Knockouts title. I don't know.
My first thought was she'll come in and sort of half replace the role that Madison Rayne has now left as kind of that, like,
veteran,
the
locker room veteran.
Locker room veteran.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the situation. Who knows? All I know is I'm very pleased and happy.
Oh yeah,
to see
I've always
ODB
liked ODB
coming back. you know, if you want to check out the interview that I did with her only a month or so ago, feel free. It's on the Total Nonstop Impact channel. It's a nice little interview. We get some quite interesting stories. Certainly about her time on the on WWE when she entered into the I'm trying to remember what it was called now. I've forgotten. The Tough Enough competition and all that. She was involved in all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, really, really cool.
Have we ever seen ODB versus Havoc?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
It'd be a bit before my time, but the first time I saw ODB was it was either a knockdown or when they had the Apocalypto thing at the Hardy compound. She came out to fight Sienna.
That's right. She did. Yeah.
Oh yeah. God,
Blimey.
that was ages ago.
You've got good memory,
Wow.
my brother.
ODB is one of my favorites, and so any time I've seen ODB, it's just the excitement's there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be great. We also now this is something because obviously this past week we had another promo involving Matt Cardona, which is great news.
This was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he came in at Hard to Kill, which we'll talk about later. You know, everyone was then thinking, well, you know, what's going on here? He's shouting, "I'm back" all over the place. You know, "I'm here" or whatever it was. He was pointing,
always
"I'm
ready.
here."
Always ready.
He's always ready, but he was here. And I thought then straight away, this is not a one-off. Then, of course, we get the release of his T-shirt. Which to me sort of kind of like solidifies the fact that this is not just maybe one set of tapings. This could be, it might still be short term, but you know, they do a set of tapings every 4 weeks or so, don't they? They get another set of tapings 3 or 4 weeks.
It's normally every 3 months, isn't it? Something like that.
Not
every
at the
2
moment.
months, something like that, give or take.
Not at the moment. At the moment, it's running it every. It was running every month and a half, so every 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks at a push, and then they start the one that they did just before Christmas was an extended one. If you remember, they did 5 days of taping, and that's why it's gone so long this time. But as far as I'm aware, this time they've only done 2 days.
2 days.
So if they've only done 2 days, then that's about 4 weeks worth of footage. So that would suggest they're running on maybe a monthly occurring now. So if they go back to monthly, then it could be they've said to Matt, well, look, you know, can we get 3 months worth in, you know, from you, which would be 3 sets of tapings. If you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in total, they would have ended up maybe getting 4 or 5 months worth of footage, you know, of stuff with Matt. You know, my thought process is at the moment with people like Matt Cardona, you know, and I thought this of Ethan as well. It made sense to stay with Impact, you know, the way that he is with his family and stuff. You know, I thought it made sense that he would want to spend more time with his family rather than, you know, having to spend more time away.
Yeah.
You know? But you know, that's that. You know, I think maybe, you know, doing a once a month 2-day taping, you know,
a lot easier than working every week, isn't it?
Exactly. You know, so you know, maybe this is quite appealing to Matt to do this, especially with all the other things that they do with their very popular podcast, you know, and their toy stuff and, you know, all the different bits and bobs that they do on top of wrestling. You know, it sort of kind of makes sense. And the fact that they brought out a T-shirt so quickly also suggests to me that, you know, they're testing the water. You know, how many shirts are we going to sell? You know, and if all of a sudden they bang out, you know, 1,000 shirts, they're going to be like, okay, this guy definitely, you know, worth the investment in time, money, etc. That's the way I sort of kind of look at it. But again, you know, the guy's got like 2.2 million Twitter followers. You know, like he's going to bring eyes to the product, isn't he?
Oh yeah,
he's the right person to bring in. And I've said this before, you know, I said this so many times. Like, you know, Ethan Page is great, but could he sell out? You know, is you know, toy, what are they called?
The micro ballers.
Micro ballers, like Doc Gallows did. Sold out in 1 hour. You know, and that's the thing. That's why that's what people forget about the business sometimes. You know, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily always about like if you're amazing inside the ring. You know, yes, you've got to be solid, you've got to be, you know, a good performer, but you know, you don't necessarily have to be a Kenny Omega or a Rich Swann in the ring. If you've got charisma, if you're able to cut an amazing promo, if you're able to tell a story, if you're able to sell merch, right? Then, you know, you are, you know, that's the difference, isn't it? There's your value.
Yeah.
You know, if it gets to a point where, you know, because they bring in someone like Matt, they're able to sell like 1,000 fucking t-shirts, you know, a month. Then they, you know, they're going to be chuffed to bits because they're seeing some of that money, some of that revenue come back, right? So it helps pay the guys' wages. So
he was a big draw in the WWE, despite how ill-treated he was. I'll be perfectly honest. I was a big fan of Zack Ryder. He had the few, like he said, he had a few highs and a lot of very lows when he cut his promo at Hard to Kill. But he was one of the big marketing guys at WWE, which is one of the reasons why he stayed on so long, and he had a pretty strong showing at AEW when he was there. So he's testing the waters, like you said. And
I mean, face the facts, the guy sells. The guy sells. You know what I mean? Like, that's why he's got over 2 million followers on Twitter.
He oozes charisma. He's like Eli Drake. He oozes charisma, and people, and if Impact can take advantage of that, then hats off to him.
I mean, I don't know what you think, Steve, but, you know, I think over the last 6 months, Impact have taken advantage of this pandemic situation with all the releases of some of these talents.
Black Wednesday.
You know what? Yeah, Black Wednesday. And they're being very shrewd on who they bring in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're looking at, like, for a better word, I mean, I saw a lot of people commenting on this Matt Cardona thing, saying, "Oh, look, they're just employing jobbers." They're not. They're employing people that are misused, that have good talent.
Yeah. Heath is a good example.
Exactly.
Ferrazzo.
Yeah, they're employing people that have good talent, that are being misused, that can be, employed and
brought to the forefront.
And brought to the forefront and show their talent in a decent company. In
a company that will, you know, help you develop, will push you forward.
And will elevate you.
Will elevate, and give you the opportunity to elevate. Like, you know, the interview I did with Deanna recently, where she said, I was so happy that Impact was willing to give me the ball and let me run with it. You know, and that is exactly what they do. If they see that talent, if they see it, they will give you a ball and you can run with it. Now, whether, you know, like you say, whether you sink or swim, at that moment is now down to you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You know, you do it. You do what you want to do. You know, you do it. And I think ultimately, you know, that's the sort of thing that they could probably do with Matt Cardona. And don't tell me Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder, what I want to call it, is a jobber. What a load of rubbish. The guy's carried titles in you know, up north. It's not like he hasn't, and he's sold loads and loads of t-shirts. Right now, you know, I don't care what you say, he was one of the, you know, best-selling wrestlers they had when it comes to merch. So you know, there's only people like, you know, your Jeff Hardys and your you know, Rey Mysterios and stuff that really outsell. In, I guess, in the past, John Cena, whatever, you know, AJ Styles probably does pretty well, but you know, he's still one of their, until the moment that he was gone, he was one of their best-selling merch guys. So you know, so for Impact to be releasing a t-shirt straight off the bat, good for you. You know, I think that's the right move. Let's get it done and dusted. So yeah, so it's great to see him back.
Yeah.
Now, new Taya. I wanted to talk about Taya's goodbye. Now, I think all three of us are sad to see Taya go. She was an amazing knockout for the two. Well, she there for 2 or 3 years.
3 years.
She was there.
3 years. Yeah.
You know, she was amazing, and I loved her. I met her in New York, and she was really, really lovely person, lovely. And it's great to have her. It was great to have her all that time. See how much she's grown. But you know what? how well did they handle her, moving on?
Yeah.
Shall we say? I mean, we had, we'll get to it in a bit, but we had her match at Hard to Kill, which was a great match. That was obviously her last match in an Impact ring at a pay-per-view. Can't get much better than that in the title match. And then basically we had a couple of sort of kind of backstage moments where Taya obviously was then proven to be, and she even admitted the person to shoot Bravo. Now that storyline's done. She's now been carted off. She's now been carted off up to Stamford to serve her 2 years, maybe possibly 3 with an extension, according to Tommy Dreamer. So I thought they did it really, really well. There was some genuine tears there as well between her and the embrace between her and Rosemary. What about yourself, Joe? What do you think?
I wish I was there for the embrace. I'm really sad to see Taya Valkyrie go. She came in with a bang, and she left with a bang. That match against Deonna Purrazzo at Hard to Kill was awesome, and but she's proven she's a very versatile wrestler. All the hardcore matches she's done, that 4-way at Summerversary last year with Havoc and Su Yung and Rosemary.
Oh my God, yes.
She's the full package, and wherever she goes now, I wish her all the best of luck.
Definitely. How about yourself, Steve?
Yeah, I don't think she's had a single bad match in this company, and every incarnation of her character has, she's brought like this whole aura onto this screen, like sort of she's never shied away from like the camera, like Deonna has. Like Deonna's brought like this kind of like huge. She's made the championship feel big.
Yeah, without doubt, definitely. And I think what we've seen also is a real growth of her as a performer over the last 3 years. When she first came in, we weren't really sold on her initially with that sort of kind of Game of Thrones character that she was trying to portray at that time.
No.
I don't think we were sold on her. It wasn't until we started moving on, we started to get more kind of character out of her, more sort of personality, Vera Loca. And all this stuff that she's done over the last 6 months or so with Rosemary, I think it's been a really, really beautiful to see, because clearly they are good friends in real life, So I think it's been nice to see that blossom over the last 6 months. And it's going to be a shame that she's going to, be in prison now in Stamford for the next 2 or 3 years. But hopefully, she's gone in the right way. So who knows? She may be back.
Well, yeah, you never know. Like I say, it looked like she went on good terms, and it might only be 2-3 years, and there's always a chance. Rosemary will probably always be here, so never say never.
Know. Never say never.
Knockouts I see as mainstay Rosemary, Jordan Grace, Deonna Purrazzo, Kiera Hogan, Natasha Steeles, and possibly Havoc and Nevaeh. I see them as the knockouts who are going to be staying with the company for long term.
Yeah, Kimberly.
Kimberly, if she can get pushed in the right direction, I'm pretty sure she's happy to stay on a lot longer as well.
Superb. I think one thing's for sure. Taya, came in at a time when the knockouts division was building, and she's left it when, let's say, face the facts, is built. So somewhere along the line, you could say that
she helped it grow.
She was very much part of building this incredible knockouts division. So wherever she's going, I hope that she's proud of what she's achieved with all those other knockouts on the roster, and I hope she keeps watching and wishing she was still there. No, I don't mean that. I don't know.
Well, she's gonna miss the locker room. You can tell that already.
Yeah, I think she is. I think she is definitely. It's but it was a beautiful goodbye, and I think it was great. I think the emotion shown at the end there with the embrace with Rosemary and Taya was genuine. You saw the tears flowing on both sides. So that I thought it was a really nice way to say goodbye to Taya. I thought it was really good. And thank God the Who shot Johnny Bravo. It's got to be done now, please, no more. So
free Larry D. # free Larry D.
Well, he's got to be free because he's now been proven to be innocent. Now
I really thought with the Larry D they were gonna put Lawrence in jail and have Larry be free.
Yeah, they could have done. Yeah,
I thought that's what they were going to do originally.
that would have been funny.
Larry D break himself out of prison.
Now we also had the introduction to the new announced team as well, which I mean that first showing at Hard to Kill again this past week on Impact, they were back, so it was great to see that, and I think these guys are great. I thought they were great. I was saying off screen earlier that it's not until, because I mean obviously there was so much good stuff going on at Hard to Kill, which we'll get to in a bit. You know, yes, the commentary was good, but it was sort of kind of there in the background. And it wasn't until this past week when they did the sort of kind of like introduction to the show, when you were listening to the sound bites that they were using of the announced team, that you realised how good they were. And I was like, wow, Jesus, they sound great, you know. Just really, really good. And I'm so happy. And I think, again, last night they proved that they are really, really good at next year. I think they can only get better, you know, the more they practice, the better chemistry they're going to get, and they're going to get better. What about yourself, Steve? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm one of the few people, I think, who probably didn't mind Josh. I thought he did all right. I think he kind of, he was good with, depending who he was with. I think Madison was really good, but I think she made Josh worse, sadly. But there were a few little niggles that really did irritate me, sadly.
Really?
But there were nothing with this team that I could pick holes in, sadly.
Sadly,
I got that bit wrong. Yeah, there were there was nothing in this team that I could pick holes in. And even watching it back a second time, I was like, really listening to the commentary, I was like, no, nothing.
Yeah,
you know, and there was emotion, there was tone, and it was fantastic all night.
And of course, Stryker is extremely knowledgeable as well.
Yeah,
which I
and
think
D'Lo
really,
is as
really
well.
helps. Yeah,
D'Lo is as well.
I think it's really, really good to see. What about you, Steve? What did you think? And I know you didn't mind Joss either, do you?
Steve, do you mean me?
Yeah, sorry, you, Joe.
Yeah,
I can go again if you want.
Yeah, the empty space is taking you over, Jason.
I don't know. I must be tired. It's because I got up at 3:30 because I was so excited I had to watch it. So I got up at 3:30 to watch it on the.
I went to sleep at 3:30.
I did. I got up, literally got up at I was like, oh God, I can't sleep. I've got to go and watch it. So I came downstairs, watched it, and then went back to bed again.
My thoughts on Josh Matthews. To me, he's always going to be one of the voices of Impact Wrestling for me. When I started watching, there was him and the Pope, and
Pope was great.
They were good together, and Josh Matthews and Don Callis were fantastic. I wish that lasted a bit longer, but when it broke off, and it broke off in a good way. Then we had the Sanjay Dutt, I think, Sanjay Dutt was before Don Callis, and there was a bit of experimentation with Josh Matthews, but a lot of pay-per-views and a lot of the one night only and Impact Plus stuff, you could tell Josh Matthews was a bit burnt out and a bit lost for what to say. And now he's gone into a run production. He's got a good eye for talent, and he's got a good eye for how to build people. He's got all those ideas. It's just putting his voice out there on the commentary at times. It did hinder a bit.
Definitely.
Madison Rain helped keep it fresh, but it did start to get a bit repetitive near the end.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely. And I don't think it's the last time we've heard Josh Matthews. I'm sure he's gonna, turn up on the odd backstage interview. And
that's
he may do specials, and so you might see him doing specials and stuff like that. So, and who knows, he may turn up and do guest appearances here and there, on commentary or whatever. You never know.
But this has happened because Josh has got a promotion. So congratulations to Josh.
Exactly.
No, without doubt, it's fantastic. Yeah. It's great news. He's like you say, he's so devoted to the company.
Yeah, and to Madison for a new career path.
Yeah. You cannot take anything away from Josh Matthews. He's a total worker. He's been there, 10 years or something crazy now.
About 10 or 12 years, I think, is the full time he's been there. I read his interview about his promotion and where things are going. He's excited that, and just he's got nothing but gratitude for everything that's happened. Where he was up north, they didn't take him seriously. because he
No.
he had a lot of ideas up there and what to do, but they just didn't take him seriously. So when he come to Impact Wrestling, that was just a dream come true for him to start off with, because he had the freedom to express himself more.
Yeah, I agree.
And
He's got so much to offer. He's got
Yeah.
so much
yeah.
to offer. Yeah, he's a great guy. And I just wish that people would, would
stop
back off
bitching
a
him.
little bit.
Yeah.
Stop bitching about him.
Stop playing
You know?
him down, not respecting him.
And that all stems from the fact that he was sort of kind of a little bit trodden down up north, so they just continue that channel. He must be like that anyway, or whatever. You know what I mean? So I good luck, Josh. I think we're so pleased that you're with Impact Wrestling. You do a fantastic job, and it's great to see you being promoted into this brand spanking new role in production. Upwards and upwards, my friend. So that brings us nicely into Hard to Kill. So let's have a little chat about Hard to Kill, boys. I'm actually really looking forward to it. It's a fantastic pay-per-view. We got started with the countdown to Hard to Kill, which was sort of kind of like a little panel type show. It was an hour long. We had a little match in there with Josh Alexander and Brian Myers, and a few other little bits were in there as well. What were your thoughts, really? Because it's nice to see John Burton back, because I really like him.
Yeah.
John Burton's really good. We had Madison in the center there, and we had Scott D'Amore on the opposite side. Well, what were your thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, so it was a nice little rundown. They went through all the matches, talked about them all, and they gave their all in-depth thoughts on the build up and what each of their thoughts on the possible outcomes and what they thought like could happen, and each wrestler's possible thoughts going into the matches. So they did give a good thought on what could happen possibly going in and coming out of each match. So I
thought it was good. I think if you were tuning into that to then think, shall I or shan't I? Yeah. I think you would have been quite excited after seeing what was in store at the pay-per-view to then take it forward. What I found interesting, I did I like the Ace Austin thing. I thought that
was really good.
Yeah, I think at the end of that we were like, he's definitely going to be on the show.
Yeah.
So
I did like how John Burton cut him off, say, "Sorry, Ace, we've got to go to a break."
Yeah, see you later. And the bit, I don't know where you guys were watching, but I was watching on Fight. So I thought the bit where they sort of kind of carried on with the mic underneath really quietly, so you could sort of kind of hear the conversation. But it was like you weren't supposed to, kind of thing. Yeah. But if you listen to what they were saying, it was basically disrespecting Ace. So that's what they were doing. If you listen to what they were saying, they were basically disrespecting Ace, and John Burton said, yeah, thanks for joining us. Or whatever. Like,
see you, goodbye.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That was sort of kind of what they were doing. So I think that was done on purpose. I don't think that was accidental. And see, it's things like that which are people would see it. Some people, could look at it and go, "Oh, that was very clever," and some people will look at it and go, "Oh, no,
it was an accident. What was that in there?
Another production fail."
Yeah, exactly. And actually, some of these things I think are planned, and for a reason, because they further the storyline a little bit. So I think that worked well. No, I like the way that they broke everything down. They did that really well. We then moved into the match for the pre-show, which was the match to sort of kind of sell you on the last ditch sell on the pay-per-view. That was Josh Alexander versus Brian Myers, and of course, leading up this week, we found out that Brian Myers had signed to a full-time contract. He made a big thing thanking Eddie himself on social media. So we knew that was the case. That then, I think, made this match very unpredictable, because what you've got Brian just signed, and you've got Josh Alexander, who's got another year or so on his contract to go, and we know that he's being pushed into a singles angle. He's going to be going into a singles angle. So I did not know who was going to win this when I genuinely didn't. It's funny because I was hoping for Josh, but as we know, it ended up being Brian Myers. I wasn't disappointed because the match was really, really good, wasn't it, Joe?
The match was solid. This was the last match I'd watched from the whole thing. I was too burnt out after Sami Callihan's promo on the pre-show. I had to just go to sleep. It was I was watching along with the TNI guys and watching it on the YouTube channel. So it was a bit of both, and I was just too burnt out to continue watching. So I watched the match after I'd watched Hard to Kill, and D'Lo Brown and Matt Striker really added momentum into the match because it was so short notice. They'd only put it together the week beforehand, but Brian Myers has made such an asshole of himself since he's come in. You know, someone was going to step up again and take him on like Tommy Dreamer had done.
Yeah,
and for it to be Josh Alexander, it's a great twist on how everything's going for his character. He's not going to go like full babyface, but he's going to be one of these guys who's just not going to take shit from anybody.
Yeah, no, I thought bottom line, mate, it was a great match. I mean, both guys got in some real offense, didn't they? And the way that they finished it with Myers sort of kind of cheating effectively, pulling the face mask over and then hitting him with like a lariat from hell, which I know, and you know, obviously we then get the 1, 2, 3. Well, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, lariat's not really a finishing move, but when it's hit like that, you're going to struggle to get up. Like,
if they think that a lariat like that is not a finishing move, then they've not watched JBL wrestling. As much as I dislike JBL, you know, he's one of those guys that sold that move perfectly, and Jimmy Havoc did a pretty good job in selling it as well. You know, it is a devastating move. You're clapping someone around the neck. You could easily knock them unconscious just from that.
Yeah, you take their head off, can't you? Let's face the fact, he almost took his head off. What did you think of the match, Steve? Did you enjoy it? If you were, I don't know, and an R-ing on whether you were going to watch the pay-per-view, would it have made you, you know, stick your hand in your pocket?
Oh yeah, if I hadn't have bought the pay-per-view already, and I was watching the countdown, and I saw this match, I think I want to see more matches like what Impact are doing. I will probably go and buy it.
Yeah, definitely.
The technical chain wrestling in this match was absolutely amazing. It was kind of non-stop, counter after counter after counter, and I just sort of didn't think it would ever end. I mean, the finish was incredibly inventive as well. You know, that, like you said, the pulling the headgear down over his eyes. It was because Myers has kind of been like pulling like these like shortcuts here and there, and you sort of think, well, what's he going to do against Josh Alexander? And you just didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
I thought it was very clever, and the funny thing is, maybe it's one of those things where, you know, Josh may come out now without his ear things, because thinking that, oh, it can be used against me as a weapon now.
No, he has to wear it for safety reasons because of his injury to his ear.
So, oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I thought it was just something, from his. It was just something he wanted to go with. You know what I mean?
I think he's got cauliflower ear, isn't he? Something like that.
Yeah. He basically broke his ear in a wrestling match a few years back, and he carried on for the rest of the matches he was in after that. But he was then told that he then decided it was safer to put this headgear on that he's got, and it's made his character look really, really badass as well. You know, because I think the last guy I saw with a mask like that was Vader or someone like that. You know.
I think the idea comes from one of the Steiner brothers, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's again, it's all wrestling before my time. I started watching him back in '99.
Yeah, so, I think it's Rick Stein. I think Rick Steiner used to wear a headgear like that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Well, it's what they call it, amateur wrestling, isn't it?
It reminds everyone of his amateur background, and Matt Striker did a great job in reminding everyone that
he did.
Just how technical Josh Alexander is. You know, he's like Kurt Angle. He fights through injury. He won't give up. And Kurt Angle broke his neck. Josh Alexander broke his ear and damaged his collarbone as well. So
it's interesting. What's interesting for me is that this past week we still kind of saw Matt Cardona coming in and rescuing Josh Alexander. So to me, I think what we're looking at, they've brought Matt in to maybe help push Josh a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of be it. But to me, it should have been Kurt Angle.
If it was Kurt Angle, after seeing James Storm and Matt Hardy, I don't think I could have coped with the excitement. I was going to explode.
When you were watching this match with Josh and Myers, Josh really pulled out a few what I would class as very Kurt Angle-esque style of performance. You know what I mean? You could tell that he's very kind of influenced by the way that Kurt Angle wrestled as a singles competitor. And I don't know. I just think how cool would it have been because I don't know whether possibility of when they were on, but they were talking about Kurt Angle was possibly coming in at some point before Christmas, wasn't it? I think it was like Bound for Glory. There was talks he might be coming in there. And kind of, for me straight away, I'm thinking, oh man, could you imagine Kurt Angle managing Josh Alexander? Is kind of like, so there's so many comparisons made between Josh Alexander and Kurt Angle. Could you just imagine if Kurt ended up being his sort of kind of mentor, is kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they could do something like we're doing with Jordan Grace and Jazz with Kurt Angle and Josh Alexander. Give them a match to pass the torch on, because Josh Alexander's ankle lock is just as devastating as Ken Shamrock or Kurt Angle.
Oh, definitely.
And he's got that spinning tombstone pile driver, which is one of the best moves I've seen pull off for a long time.
It is quite cool, actually. You're right. Yeah, it's cool. He was putting a promo on Twitter the other day about showing him doing one of those bad boys. So yeah, no, they're very impressive. They do look good. Okay, so we're and then of course in the last sort of 5 minutes or so of the countdown, we got the Madison Rayne retirement speech. Who thinks? I mean, for me, I think it's in the moment now is screaming Madison Rayne Hall of Fame for 2021.
Yeah, Madison Rayne deserves the Hall of Fame, and as much as James Storm doesn't want it, I think James Storm should be inducted as well.
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. I mean, if you have Madison and James Storm being inducted in the same year, I think that would be really, really cool. I get. I mean, I think what James Storm's thing is that he's still too young to be inducted into Hall of Fame, but like he's still got his thoughts. I still got so much more to do. Do you know one thing I really liked actually was last night in his promo when he came out, he promoted his ass off, which we would totally expect. But I like the way that he almost took the piss out of his kind of line that he was using in NWA. And then he was like, oh, actually, no. Sorry about your damn luck. Do you remember? Chris Sabin looked at him as if to say, what? Like,
what was that?
Yeah. And I thought that was funny. I thought that was really funny because we know though that he's not signed to NWA. He's a free agent now. Yeah. So he could do whatever he likes. But yeah, so I like that. I thought that was funny. But yeah. So anyway, we had the Madison thing. Madison's retired from wrestling as a whole. So she's not going to be involved in backstage, doing anything, commentary, anything at all. She's done and dusted at the moment. But like I said, I still think we might see her every now and again make a special appearance.
Yeah, she might do like ODB.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not in ring, but maybe we'll still turn up at, like you say, like a pay-per-view to do a presentation or something. We'll see her turn up, or maybe we see her do like a special for the Impact Plus app or something, where she's not wrestling, but it's like a history of Madison Rayne or something.
Yeah, if they bring Knockouts Knockdown as an Impact Plus special, then Madison Rayne on commentary for that would be a good choice to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Just cool, yeah,
just bring her in to do little things here and there, and it doesn't affect her. the new job or whatever it is that she's moving on to. I mean, I know that she's been doing a lot. She's been doing a university degree, so she's obviously got it all set in stone now, and she's ready to hit her new career and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's amazing. And all I've got to say is, thank you so much for everything that you've given TNA, Impact Wrestling, the female knockouts. You've been absolutely amazing, Madison. So thank you so much, girl. And we wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Yeah. Exactly.
There you go. Nothing else to be said, boys.
No,
is there?
No.
Right.
We weren't worthy, but we were lucky.
Definitely. We were lucky.
Gone but never forgotten.
Exactly. And like I said, I think a Hall of Fame induction is definitely deserved. Okay, so moving on. We then move on to Hard to Kill. Opening match. Guys, Joe and I have talked about this for so long. The return of DK. And it was DK. It is the return of DK. It's not just Rosemary and Steve. They are DK. They've even got a shirt. The shirt's been released, guys. So get on Shop Impact and buy that bad boy. But we got to see DK versus Dashwood and Caleb with a K. What are your thoughts, guys? What are your thoughts? Let's go with Joe first.
Oh, I had goosebumps as soon as the music hit and Crazy Steve and Rosemary down the ring. I've always got that excitement when you see Rosemary, but to see Decay come back and, they're a solid unit. They're not there as a one-off tag team or just a short term. It's now committed because Taya Valkyrie's gone. So that Rosemary needed a new direction.
Yeah.
And I did say the week before that Rosemary does need a new direction to go into now. And
she needs to go back to heel, does she? She needs to revert back to that sort of kind of version of Rosemary. I think the first part of that really was the look. The look is now back to the look of Rosemary of Decay, isn't it?
Yeah, the shadow has called her back, and she's now listening to the shadow again, rather than trying to be human,
trying to be everyone's friend.
Yeah,
it doesn't work out well for her.
She said to Crazy Steve, "This is why we don't have friends."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she gets too hurt. She falls in love. She makes a connection, and it all goes tits up. What about you, Steve? Were you pleased to see Decay back?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm a massive fan of the Decay. I think everyone is, really, aren't they? Every fan of Impact and TNA are a fan of the Decay. I mean that entrance was chilling with Steve and Rosemary, wasn't it? Coming in, crawling on the ring, and then the backslide.
Definitely, it's amazing stuff. Can I just say, Decay get the win, which was great to see. What are your thoughts on? I'm going to go with Steve first.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on a possible third, even maybe a fourth member to Decay, or do you think they're just going to stay as a duo?
I've had a couple of thoughts. Well, I've had 3 thoughts on this. Obviously, one of them was Taya, but she has gone. We think, don't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, the other 2 thoughts I've had, it depends where they want to go with Decay. The one of them, which I think is unlikely, is if they want to turn it into a group, and that is if they want to repackage maybe Reno Scum.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And what about the other one?
And the other one, which I think is possibly more likely, is if they want to debut Shogun Jackson Stone.
Now there's an option. Yeah, can you imagine? Jackson Stone would look pretty menacing actually if he was all make-upped up. I have a feeling
he's already got a makeup kind of look, hasn't he?
Yeah, I actually have a feeling that he's going to be coming in more of a suit-wearing way. I think he's going to come in as sort of kind of like almost like a bit like Moose styly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I think he's going to come in look a bit like that, but we'll have to wait.
Maybe too similar though.
We'll have to wait and see. Well, maybe he becomes Moose's lucky. He becomes like, the student of the narrative. Who knows? We don't know what's going on here. Because I still think that, Moose and EC3 are going to have something happening again come the summer. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But what about you, Joe? What are your thoughts?
After Taya Valkyrie had gone, I see it just being a duo especially for the first few months. I'm not sure who could really replace Abyss. They gave a big shout out to Abyss during the match with the double choke slam. And Crazy Steve even put on Twitter, "This is for our beautiful monster," or something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be Rosemary and Crazy Steve really trying to rub Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K. That's how it's going to go.
Okay.
People want Madman Fulton in as a third member, but Madman Fulton with Ace, it's not going to happen. Madman Fulton with Ace Austin is going to put Madman Fulton into the main event by the end of the year.
Yeah, they were talking about that on commentary, weren't they?
Yeah,
totally. Fulton is a main eventer without doubt. He's a big, strong dude, and he's definitely a main eventer. There's no doubt about that. So my thought is this: I think that if you're going to introduce a third member to Decay, if it wasn't going to be Taya, which I thought that could have been a possibility, that they could sort of have a two female and a male rather than, two males and a female.
Yeah.
Create the tag team create the Decay tag team being Taya and Rosemary with Steve as their sort of kind of backup kind of thing. Or he could, like say, go for X Division Gold or whatever. There's other things he can do as part of the group. However, I feel any kind of demon stroke monstery type faction needs to have a monster.
Yeah, of course it does.
Okay. So for me, there was talk that the Black Taurus was coming in. Taurus is a bit like a Minotaur type character. He wears the big mask thing. So, maybe maybe it's him. However, he's not signed to the roster, but I do believe that they're going to bring someone in from somewhere to be the third member of Decay, and that's how they're going to get their introduction into the Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, it's going to be a third, someone we've not seen before.
I think would be really good?
The other one I could think of would have been they somehow brainwashed Brian Myers like they tried to do with Bram, but now we've got him and Matt Cordell, Josh Alexander, and the way that's going. So if that was a shot on my duck, that was mostly unlikely, or they somehow get Cousin Jake in.
Yeah. Well,
I was thinking of Cousin Jake, but I don't know. It's sort of like, how do you bring him away from the storyline he's in? And plus, could you turn him heel?
I think the storyline that he's in at the moment is turning him into a singles competitor. He's going to end up becoming Jake something. So it's a case of, I don't think it's got to be someone coming in. It's got to be someone coming in. If they're going to do it, but like you say, maybe they just keep it as a tag team. Now that possibly. But the only trouble is, then if it's a tag team, it's the male and female tag team. It's a tag team. So somewhere you've got to get. For me, somehow you've got to get someone else in. Someone else has to be part of that, so that you can at least, tag up a male and a male, or a female and a female, whatever. Something has to give there. With there being, and with there obviously being a male and a female tag team division there, it doesn't matter so much. But the other thought for me was, what if they brought in a repackaged Ascension to join the Decay group?
That's something that has been floating around lately.
Yeah, I've wanted to see the Ascension in Impact Wrestling. I've wanted to see that since they were dropped from WWE. Those two were absolutely amazing on NXT, and they deserved a lot better than they got as well. Not like the Good Brothers, they deserved a lot better than they got from WWE when they got onto the main roster.
Yeah,
because they just didn't know what to do with them after NXT. And if they were to come in and join Decay, that would be awesome. Rosemary as the ringleader and Crazy Steve and those other two guys. It would be a big faction that we need to see. Like we've got Violent by Design, so let's get Decay built as well, and then maybe in future have them cross paths.
Yeah, I mean, who knows where all this stuff can go? It's funny enough, talking about Violent by Design, that just so happened to be the next match on the card. And again, up until this point, there have been no reference to this Violent by Design. And what's interesting is, on the Impact was it Impact or the Genesis or whatever, he was chanting "Violent by Design."
Yeah.
And if you remember, we mentioned that. We talked about it. We said, oh, he's chanting something. He's chanting something.
Yeah.
And that's what he was chanting, "Violent by Design." And I remember saying to you, he keeps saying this. He's making this really obvious, this phrase. So we got the introduction for the very first time with their own new writing, their own new screen, everything on the Titantron, or whatever you want to call it. We got Violent by Design, VBD, to abbreviate. So Violent by Design is a new EY-led faction. We knew it was heading to that. I still don't believe that it's just the three of them. I think there's more to come. EY is there to cleanse the pro wrestling world, so he cannot be stopping it, Dina and Joe Doring. So, and again, we saw them versus Rhino, Dreamer, and Cousin Jake. Obviously, we got the face off between Dina and Jake. That didn't end too well initially for Dina. We then obviously got the EY and Rhino face off a little bit, which then led to the match that we had on this past week on Impact at the Fallout. But this was an old school's rules, and we've learned that old school rules now is just basically hardcore, according to Impact anyway. So, I thought this was a really good match, and Joe Doring was an animal. He was an absolute beast, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
How tall is he? He's.
I think they bill him at 6'7".
He's
He's got to be
he looks a lot bigger. We had him stand toe to toe with Rhino, and Rhino he's not a huge athlete, but he's just dwarfed everybody that he stood up against. He went head to head with Cousin Jake, and that was awesome because Cousin Jake's like 6'3", 6'4" or something. And just even to have Cousin Jake look like a dwarfed by Joe Doring, and he took a hell of a beating in that match. And just it took a very long time for him to finally get knocked down. But we have yet to see Joe Doring in a singles match. But
it's definitely going to be interesting. You're not going to put him in with someone small, are you? He's got to go with another Hoss, and it'd be interesting. Maybe it's going to be Cousin Jake.
Yeah, that's where I see it going, because we've got I think Dean has got the next match on for Violent by Design as a singles match, so it's going to come down to Cousin Jake and Joe.
I think so,
and that might be where Cousin Jake either goes to Violent by Design, or hopefully we see Heath come back and help out everyone there, because.
See, this is something you say that, but I'm convinced that Heath is in with Eric Young.
Yeah, that's what my heart says. He's disappeared off the map, but all of his stuff online, it's still supporting Rhino. It's still supporting just basically Heath being Heath. So, but I'd like to see him and Rhino at least have a bit more time together to show what they could have done, because Rhino's still got that Call Your Shot trophy. So what's going to happen?
I was going to say that, yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen with that? What did you think about this one, Steve?
Yeah, it was a really good match, wasn't it? The one thing I was surprised was that B&E old school rules, they never went outside the ring, did they? Really?
They did. Well, only.
Oh no, but I meant like. They went outside the ring to get the weapons, but they never went outside the ring to cause damage, really.
I guess, yeah. You might be right. Most of it was in the ring.
Most of it was in the ring, so I was kind of expecting them to kind of go like around the ring and sort of outside like the ring,
maybe
a bit more. So that was one thing I was a little bit surprised with. But yeah, like you say, Joe was an absolute beast in this match, and. For me, this was where the emotion from the commentary was amazing when Jake hit that cross body block on Cody.
On Dina, they went crazy for that, didn't they?
That was fantastic.
Yeah,
but
really good.
It was surprising for me that Jake took the pin and EY pinned him. That was the surprising thing.
Yeah,
I kind of half expected Jake to take the pin, but I didn't expect EY to pin him.
Yeah, I was hoping Dina would have got the pin on
Yeah.
Jake, but
Yeah.
then that's like it's building up to that eventually.
Maybe,
and,
yeah.
And that's when cousin Jake stops saying I'm Dina, I'm
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
It's kind of pushing Jake into that hole even further, isn't it? But yeah, you kind of
I think if they're clever, they'll start telling him he's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They'll start telling him he's nothing. He isn't a Dina, he's nothing. And then he'll eventually be like, I am not nothing, I am something. Jake something.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or so along those sort of lines. I don't know. Right? That's sort of kind of where I thought this was.
That's where they're obviously going, and that's why they pinned him. But yeah, like you say,
I'm never a massive fan of Tommy Dreamer. Certainly not in pay-per-views. I don't mind him sort of performing.
But you've got to admit,
TV,
he brought it, didn't he? He brings it every match he's in.
It is. He did do really, really well. He did do well, but for me, because he doesn't look in shape, like he really isn't in shape.
No.
Not like Rhino still looks like Rhino, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's not quite as toned and as big as he was, you know, back in his youth, but he still looks like Rhino. He still looks like he'd kick your ass. Whereas for me, with Tommy, he just looks a bit soft, and he's not the hardcore Tommy Dreamer. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not that guy.
Yeah.
So I find it a little bit harder to be more invested in him as a performer because of that. But you know, don't get me wrong. You know, he still could tell a story. You know, he can still cut a promo, and he could still get in there. And I think that these kind of matches are perfect for your Rhinos, for your Dreamers, etc. Because they don't necessarily have to be in doing all the work. You know what I mean?
They kind of cover up your ability.
Well, I mean, it's stamina now, because I'm pretty sure Tommy doesn't spend much time in the gym. You know, I think that's what it is. And again, you know, Rhino's the same. I don't think he's a gym rat anymore. You know, I think he may go once or twice a week just to keep himself at a level. But you know, clearly they're not gym rats anymore. So you know, like,
age, does he, Rhino?
No, he doesn't. He's fantastic. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the match. I thought it was great. It was what it was, and it forwarded the story. So that's the main thing. It forwards the story, and we're moving on. Great match. Happy with that match. Obviously, we ended up with a VBD win. We also got a lovely T-shirt released, so excellent for that. I'm hoping that one becomes available so I can get that one as well in my size. But yeah, so that's really good. We then moved on to the Knockouts Tag Champs match. I think everyone's been looking forward to this. You know, in the moment, we don't have champs. We've had the tournament. We've had a real good build to it. We've ended up with Havoc and Nevaeh versus Tasha Steelz and Kira Hogan, the fire and the flavor. I think, you know, again, this was a really, really good match. I mean, this was like, you know, you had the fast and the furious, you know, Kira and Tasha, and you had the more methodical powerhouses of Nevaeh and Havoc, pardon me, and I thought they just complemented each other really well. It was a good match. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, as I say, it was a much more even match than I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to have the Havoc and Nevaeh kind of dominate this match and have Kira and Tasha be like the underdogs that kind of got like the sneaky attacks in here and there, but it wasn't. It was really even. You had both teams get a fence in, and you really couldn't predict which way this was going to go all throughout the match, which was great booking.
Yeah, it was really good.
I'm not going to lie, at the end, when Kira and Tasha won, I genuinely had a tear in my eye.
Oh dear! Oh my God, Steve!
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those moments where you're watching and you're like, wow, you know.
Yeah, it was a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Joe,
and I think it's because you sort of follow like what the story Kira's been through as well.
Yeah, so it was nice to see her get a belt, wasn't it? Definitely. What about you, Joe? What was your thoughts?
I was so engaged in this match. You know, we like you said, we got Tasha Steelz and Kira Hogan flying all over the place, really, really making things difficult for Havoc. Havoc manages to pick off one or two really big moves, and the frustration on her face every time it didn't get the job done. And then Nevaeh's the more technical wrestler on their team, so they got everything really well balanced between all four of them. And we got the back and forth from Tasha Steelz to anyone and Kira Hogan to piss them off when they're on the apron. And I was in my heart I was thinking Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz were going to win, only after Nevaeh and Havoc had got that momentum the week before that I thought it might slide in the other direction. But
as you know, when we spoke about on the preview show, that sort of kind of threw me a little bit because we've always said, haven't we, all the way along that it's got to be Tasha and Kira. It's Tasha and Kira.
Yeah,
they're going to win this. Kira deserves it. They're clearly a tag team and they're doing a good job. But after that, showdown kind of face to face in the boardroom where they were signing their contracts and whatnot, I suddenly thought, they're really making Havoc and Nevaeh look really strong here. I'm not sure. Is it going to go that way? And I think during this match, I think it's several points you could have thought, here we go, Havoc and Nevaeh.
Yeah.
Well, I was a bit like that, like throughout the tournament. I was kind of like, well, I'm going for Kira and Tasha. And then suddenly the week when Havoc and Nevaeh beat Jordan and Jazz, I was like, hang on a minute. I'm sure that these two teams have been half feuding for like a couple of months now. And I don't remember Havoc and Nevaeh ever getting the better of it. So this is kind of like the perfect opportunity for them to kind of get one up and get the tag belts and say you won the battle but lost the war.
Exactly.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. But
I sort of changed my mind, and then it never happened.
But then with obviously Fire and Flavor then winning, I think what this is leading to is a potential feud now moving forward. So I think Havoc and Nevaeh are gonna be doing what they can to get that title. I think that's what's going to happen now. But I think it was a great match, really, really good match. And it was wonderful to see Madison and Gail Kim. And Gail we've not seen for ages, pretty much since the start of the pandemic. I don't think we've seen her at all.
In gold and silver.
Exactly. She come out. She looked absolutely fantastic, as did Madison. Like you say, they are previous Knockouts tag champs, handing over the brand spanking new gorgeous belts, I might add, to the new era tag team Knockouts champions, Fire and Flavor. No, I like them. I think they're great.
Great name.
Yeah, good luck to them. Good luck to them moving forward. I can't wait to see where this all goes. Obviously, we had the promo stuff with the celebration, the Fire and Flavor celebration, happening hopefully next week. So that should be interesting. I think Havoc and Nevaeh are going to have something to say about that. So so that was all good. So then we sort of kind of like basically have a little discussion with the brand spanking new, announced team of D'Lo and Stryker, and all of a sudden Ace Austin's music hits. He's coming out to the ring. He's telling him to turn his music off and all that kind of stuff. He's got something to say. He deserves a match. He's the winner of the cup tournament, the X Cup. He should be number one contender. He should be inserted into the X Division Championship match tonight. Should be a 4-way, not a 3. And of course, he's calling Scott D'Amore out. Scott comes out. He's saying, look, yes, you are an amazing competitor. Yes, you potentially deserve a shot, and you definitely, and you deserve a match at Hard to Kill. But I've got an opponent just for you. And our first surprise of the evening, we're thinking, who the hell is this? Is it going to be a name? Who's it going to be? And who is it? But the man that's always ready, Matt Cardona, or up north, Zack Ryder. What are your thoughts on this one, Steve?
If I'm being brutally honest, I didn't like the promo from Ace. It was a great promo, but I didn't like what he said.
Okay.
Because it came across to me as, like, how can I put it? Like, it was a bit too confident, a bit too, like, foolish. Like, he's got a guaranteed number one contendership for the X Division title, and he's going to put it into a match where there's already 3 other contenders, and he doesn't even have to be pinned to lose his number 1 contendership.
Yeah, I get that. I see where you're coming from. I do think that when it comes to the promo and the way that Ace is talking, that is exactly the character that Ace is.
Yeah.
So that's
the promo was fantastic. It's just what he said made him look like a little bit of a, like, I'm speaking before I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe he's just he's a narcissist, isn't he? So he's clearly pissed off at not being on.
Like I say, Rohit could pin Bay, win the title, and then he's like, "Hang on, I'm no longer number 1 contender."
No, I get what you're saying. Definitely, Joe. What about you?
Ace Austin. He oozes charisma. He is the future of Impact Wrestling, as a lot of people have said. I enjoyed it. He said, like you said, it's not a pay-per-view without me and guys. You're gonna have to do something with me, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And the way Scott D'Amore comes out and says, "I shook your hand last week because I wanted to be professional. Now you're acting like an asshole. So we're gonna give you a match. This is what you've got. Take it or leave it." And it was just, the match was good. And Ace Austin, he's come back to the division. He won the X Division Star of the Year, and he wasn't even in the X Division for at least 2/3 of last year.
Yeah,
and so that added more to the promo than took it away.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, the surprise of Cardona I mean, I didn't see it coming, and the match between him and Ace I thought was booked perfectly. They both got moments to shine, and it ended with a DQ, so no one got hurt.
Yeah. They both came out of it fairly strong, to a degree, because obviously Ace didn't get pinned. But the only thing is, I think it was a case of like, okay, so Ace is your hood ornament potentially, and Matt comes in and technically the records will show that Matt came in, whether it be a DQ or not, and won the match. So it's a loss, it's an L in Ace's locker, but it was probably, if you needed to give Matt that win, it was probably the right way to do it. Now, I thought Matt looked great. He looked very athletic. He was clearly, in peak condition. He looked fantastic. His ring gear was good, and he had I think he's got a new attitude about him. He's got that little sort of kind of like spring in his step. I think absolutely great to see Matt Cardona. And again, we straight away, is he only there for one performance? Well, clearly not. He's got a t-shirt.
He's there to make a statement.
Yeah, he's got a t-shirt. As soon as you release a t-shirt, mate, you're there longer than a pay-per-view, right?
Definitely.
So he's got a t-shirt.
And even if he is there for one pay-per-view and a set of tapings, enjoy it for what it is.
Exactly.
Enjoy it. Yeah. My thought process is this: if you are a Matt Cardona fan, right, and you want to see more of him on Impact TV, you've got to get out there and you've got to buy a shirt. Buy the shirt. Show the Impact management that this guy can put bums in seats, can sell t-shirts, right? Because if that's the case, they'll do everything they can to sign him, right? If he's not signed already. If he's not signed already, that they'll pursue him. Like I said, fantastic addition to the pay-per-view. It was a lovely surprise. Nobody knew it was going to happen. Great to see Matt Cardona on Impact Wrestling. Okay, so let's move on, because that was sort of kind of like the little sweetener, the little extra that we didn't know was coming.
No.
But we then had the X Division match, which I've got to say for me was one of the matches of the night without doubt. And that was the X Division title match between Rohit Raju, Manic the champion, and the incredible Satur Bay, Chris Bay. So he is the main event. I mean, whenever he goes out there, as far as he's concerned, he is top of the card. And the franchise. He's the money maker. Chris Bay, Art of Finesse, I thought had a great match, as did Manic, as did Rohit. There was an exchange near the beginning of the match where it was just so fast. If you blinked, you would have missed what the hell was going on. It was a great match. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think everybody got a really, really good showing. What about you, Joe?
It was one of the best matches of the night. And Rohit was just so obsessed with unmasking Manic throughout the whole match. It deterred him from everything else, but it didn't stop him from putting on a good showing. And we got to see just how good TJP Manic is. Even Match Striker was constantly dropping the hint that we all know who it is, really. And Dina Brown was saying, shut up. We don't need to know that. But Chris Bay, some of the stuff he managed to pull off in that match was absolutely incredible. He's just, again, backing up why he's the one to watch this year.
I mean, yeah, without shadow of a doubt, I think I think all three men in this match showed exactly what the X Division is all about. It was a fantastic, it was fast flowing, there was technical in there. There was every kind of style of wrestling you could think of turned up in this match. It was a great match. All three men did a fantastic job, came out looking strong. Obviously, we got the unmasking of Manic, but TJP being clever as he is, we had the Pagano, which to me it looked like Pagano face paint, and so obviously you couldn't tell, could you? You just couldn't tell. It could have been anybody. It could have been anybody, but of course we all know it's TJP really. But so we had all of that going on. Rohit was obviously distressed that you still couldn't apparently make out who it was, but yeah, we end up with a Manic 1, 2, 3 retaining the title, leaving Hard to Kill as X Division champion. To me, it was just an outstanding match, and if I was to give it stars out of 5, for me, this was a 5-star match.
Definitely,
yeah, for sure.
There was one of the big stand-up moments was that massive Indian Deathlock. Manic had Chris Bay in, and all that time trying to keep Rohit on him as well to finally nail it. And when he did, that was just it's like, how the hell did Chris Bay manage to put up with that for so long? It was so good, just to show how much endurance all of them have as well.
Yeah, incredible. Something else we've forgotten to mention this, actually. We should have mentioned this at the start of the show. There's crowd noise.
Yeah, I've noted that in my notes. And yeah,
I forgot about that. I forgot to mention the crowd noise. Do we like it? Do we not like it?
I like it. I think we get it here for rugby matches, for football. It doesn't make much of a difference, really. You still get to hear what's going on in the ring. It just adds a bit more atmosphere that people want. So
yeah.
And every time it's coming to the end of the night, you get "This is Impact" chant.
Yeah, it did. That's right. They did that again last night.
Yeah.
I think what's really cool is that it's just it's not too loud, but it's not too quiet. It's all kind of sat in that right idiom, so you can still hear the ring. You can still hear them talking to themselves.
Trash talking.
Yeah, you can see the trash talking, and the commentary is just perfect. It's just that perfect level. And so, like you said, it's not intrusive, but it's there, and it just takes away from the crickets. You know what I mean? It takes away from that. I think it makes a difference. And I like it. I think it's the right thing to do.
It's that balance where if you listen for it, you can hear it, but if you don't want to hear it, or if you're not listening for it, you can't hear it.
Exactly.
So it is that perfect level.
Yeah, exactly. It's just there. It's just underlying. It's just there. It takes away the dead noise. That's what it does. It takes away the dead noise, which I think is great.
I think if it was any louder, it would be too noticeable. So it would be a bit off-putting.
Exactly. It would be more of a distraction.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think it's good. I think it's good, and I like it. I think as the time goes on, we'll get more used to it, and it'll just become that's part of the show, and it won't be a big deal. So I like it. It was a big move to introduce it in the pay-per-view, though. It was a big move because people could have either loved it or hated it. Luckily, people liked it. If they'd hated it, it would have been that thing that they could have used to hate on the show. So very brave. Fair play to Impact for going with that on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So like you say, we end up with a Manic win, which is fantastic. I'm happy with that because I'm a big fan. But we then move on to the Knockouts Championship, which is the incredible Diana Perazzo. If you've not heard the interview I did with her back last Monday, make sure you go and check that out on the TNI channel. But against Taya Valkyrie. Now, at this point, we don't know that this is potentially Taya's last match. We don't know that, because as far as we're concerned, Taya is not leaving the, contract's not up until, I thought it was the end of February. So maybe it must have been the end of January. I don't know. So basically, at this point, we don't know that, but it was a good match, wasn't it? They both come out. They both look really, really strong. We had a little bit of shenanigans at the beginning, but fair play to the ref. He fires them all to the back. Let's get to the back. We want to get on with this great match. And I think we had some lovely offense from Taya, but I think this was a real showcase of Diana, how good Diana is. She started off, obviously, her finishing move is the arm bar. So we need to make sure that, she's wearing down the arms of Taya. But once she'd done a bit of that, she noticed that there was a bit of an issue with Taya's knee. So she started working on that. So the in-ring psychology, I thought was great from Diana and Taya as well. Looking back at it now, I was a bit like, I wanted to see a little bit more from Taya. But now knowing that it was her kind of final match and she was there to put over Diana, for Diana to beat the longest reigning Knockouts champ, add to her legacy moving forward, I can forgive that now because Taya was doing what Ethan should have been doing for Diana. You know what I mean? So exactly. I thought it was a great match. And Taya obviously, losing to Diana for Diana to retain, but with that double arm bar, I forgot what she called it. The
Fujiwara arm bar, and then there's Venus de Milo.
Costa Nostra.
Venus de Milo.
Costa Nostra is the power driver.
That's right.
Yeah, and Venus de Milo is the modified, as like the Rings of Saturn.
Yes, but it's because it's called the Venus de Milo because it's named after the statue, the famous Greek statue with no arms.
Yeah.
So it makes sense because she's ripping the person's arms off. So, but at the end, Taya, you visibly saw Taya visibly saw Taya was crying at the end of the match. Now.
Yeah.
There was two ways of that one. That was that, maybe Diana pulled a little bit hard and she did hurt Taya to the point where she had to release a few tears, or it was her last match in an Impact ring. I think it was the fact that it was her last match in an Impact ring.
Yeah.
Obviously we didn't know that at the time, but she did. So, to see the emotion on her face now knowing that she knew that was her last match, I think is a testament to the last 3 years of Taya Valkyrie on Impact Wrestling and where she's come from, where she is. And I think how much she loves the roster, the Knockouts, the company. Same with the Rascals, they left emotionally. And I think it was, the way that Taya was sort of left on Tuesday night this past week, it was a perfect ending for her. She's gone to Stamford to prison, and all we can do is wish her the best of luck. But it was a very, very great match for her, I think, to finish with Impact Wrestling. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Diana Perazzo basically dominated once it was 1-on-1, and that's what Diana Perazzo said she's going to do. As soon as she's in there on her own, she takes control of the match, and that's exactly what happened. We saw all the bruises on Taya Valkyrie's arm after the match, and the bruises on her shoulder. She was really banged up, and Diana Perazzo just picked her spots perfectly, and just absolutely. And the Taya Valkyrie physically say "I quit" when she's one of these wrestlers who rarely gives up, rarely. She'll fight to the bitter end and basically be too beat up to continue rather than tap out or anything. So
Yeah.
for Deonna Purrazzo to get her to submit really did, like Deonna Purrazzo said, once I've beaten you, your accolades mean nothing anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's exactly what Deonna Purrazzo did. She took away everything Taya Valkyrie had.
How about you, Steve? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not incredibly squeamish, but a few times in this match I shivered. I mean, Tyre's body went in so many horrible angles, didn't it?
It did.
But
and you could
but I
tell
will-
she was feeling it as well, couldn't you?
yeah. But I mean, that curb stomp from Tyre on Deonna, that looked awful. I mean, in a good way, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't mean awful as a botch. I mean awful as, you know, it looked nasty for Deonna. But yeah, I mean, is it fair to call Deonna the female version of the Samoan submission machine?
She's definitely a little bit more attractive.
I meant on wrestling style.
Yeah, Deonna Purrazzo is the female version of Bret Hart.
Yeah. That's what I compare it to. Yeah, Bret Hart, or even someone like Lance Storm.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the way that she wrestles. I mean, charisma wise, hit Bret the Hitman Hart, definitely. But you know, in terms of wrestling ability, we're talking Lance Storm, Bret the Hitman Hart, Owen Hart, possibly. She's certainly a very, very proficient female wrestler, and like I say, arguably the best technical wrestler in the world today. Great, she's amazing. And a lovely person as well, you know.
Oh yeah, that interview, she really comes across as a really down to earth.
She's a lovely person, you know. But when it comes to wrestling, she's all business.
Oh yeah,
I think that's where we're at with that. So, congratulations, Deonna, for retaining the Knockouts title. Goodbye to Taya. Thank you ever so much for everything that you've done. You know, we all appreciate it, and we hope to see you again down the road. Now, we then moved on to probably the most controversial moment of the night in terms of content. And I'm going to... Okay, the Karate Man versus Ethan Page segment. Now, I get it. It was supposed to add a little bit of light relief. It's supposed to be a little send-off of the creativity of Ethan. And it lasted just about long enough. I think it went much longer than that. It would start to have got boring. But, you know, I quite like the whole feel of it. I like the way it was made to look like a video game, as opposed to trying to make it look like it was actually happening, like real life. You know what I mean? It was a video game. This is not, you know. And I think that worked really, really well. And, you know, it was what it said it was on the tin. You know what I mean? It was a comedy kind of, you know, comic book character facing a professional wrestler. And, you know, the Karate Man wins in a Mortal Kombat style finish. You know, all that was missing was the words in the background, "Finish him."
Yeah,
that was the only thing that was missing.
A big bar above each character going down as they take a bump.
Yeah.
Again, you know, they could have gone so much further with it. They could have got really creative with it. I think possibly, you know, as we know, Ethan wasn't particularly happy with the way it all went down. You know, maybe that was the sort of thing he was talking about. You know,
maybe.
That's what I could see him really having to complain about. It lasted as long as it needed to. Any longer, it would have just gotten too silly.
Yeah.
So
I
could
said
have
as it was going on, if it was short, it would have been sweet. If it was long, then it would have been like it would have dragged.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they just, like you said, I mean, maybe there was a couple of things missing. They were clearly going for that kind of Mortal Kombat video game feel to it, you know, with the backgrounds changing to sort of kind of like, you know, what you'd expect to see on a Mortal Kombat, or, you know, or something along those sort of lines. You know, and the moves that they were doing, of course, as well, were the sort of kind of moves you'd expect in a video game. We had the sort of clashing of fists with the, you know, the big bubble of power around it, and that kind of stuff. So there was some great stuff. I mean, the constant kicking thing when he's you know, going across the screen. All those things are classic video game moves. And as far as I'm concerned, for what it was, it did what it was supposed to do. Could they have paid a bit more attention to detail and added in, like you're talking about, power bars and maybe something across the bottom or whatever, just sort of to make it a little bit more video gaming, which is what obviously the feel they were going for. Yeah, possibly. But it was okay. It was what it was, right?
Yeah, they weren't given enough time really to get it all done. That's what one of the things that Don Callis was constantly saying to Ethan Page is you're pushing us too far too quickly. We haven't got the time for it because we've got all this stuff with the AEW. We want you to send Josh Alexander off. Well, we want Josh Alexander to send you off. His ego got a bit too much. But yeah. I've got nothing against Ethan Page at all. The only complaints, the complaining is only going to damage his reputation.
I agree,
but it takes nothing away from his in-ring ability, and it takes nothing away from his character.
Exactly, he had a great legacy at Impact Wrestling. Longest reigning tag team champs with the North. He had some great singles matches in there as well. He was on TV every single week. He has, they gave him loads of time to develop his character to then obviously be in a position to get signed by a bigger brand. So what he should be saying is thank you so much for what you've done for me, allowing me to expand and build my character and my brand to where I am now, ready to move on. That's what he should be saying, and not complaining. But there you go, that's another story. I think we should just move on because I think that
because we can go and loop. And
we could be talking about that all night long with all the pros and cons of that sort of stuff. But we've got the barbed wire massacre to be talking about, which was next. Eddie Edwards versus Sami Callihan. We get brand spanking new music intro for Sami. What did we think of that? I liked it.
Can I just interject there, mate? Before we got to the barbed wire massacre, we had a backstage thing with Moose and Don Callis, didn't we?
That's true. We did have that.
This was interesting, wasn't it?
I guess, yeah.
He brought up something with Moose's contract. Was it? Do you think it's real? Or do you think it's?
Well, no, because he said you've got 2 years left.
Yeah.
So clearly it was a case of actually I thought I could do something with this contract, but I just looked at it and you got 2 years, so actually there's nothing I can do. And that's kind of how that all sort of panned out. It was a great segment. I liked it a lot. And of course it set up the fact that they're now like, oh shit, Moose is they've got nothing on him. They can't. They can't hold
Moose
him
is
back.
serious.
The Moose is loose. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I say Moose was fantastic all night, wasn't he? Like promo wise.
Yes,
because he has been for me a little bit robotic.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say but yeah, same thing.
But yeah, he was absolutely toned it down a little tonight and was great here all night.
Yeah, I think his character's come to the forefront. He's clearly been doing a lot of work on his character development. Doing a lot of work in the gym because he looks like an absolute house. And boy, can he move. I mean, he's introduced a couple of things into his arsenal, which we could talk about in the main event. But Moose definitely is on fire and he's looking great. Now, what I was saying was we hit into the barbed wire massacre match. And we had a new entrance music from Sami. Now, I really liked it. In fact, I listened to it back a couple of times just to make sure I did like it, and I definitely liked it. I did like the other one, but I think this one is now, it talks about some of the words is like reality is lost, and it's all in there, and it is totally, based around this character of Sami Callihan. What are your thoughts on that?
It's shifted. Sami Callihan's character is changing, but is progressively changing now. He's going to the death machine rather than the hacker, and this is the start of that transition. He's signed another 2-year deal with Impact Wrestling, so he's going to reinvent himself again.
Oh yeah, definitely. What did you think, Steve? I know you're the musician here, you're the drummer and stuff. What do you think of what did you think of the music?
Yeah, say I mean, a lot of Sammy Callahan's themes musically, they have the same feel with a slight different sort of twinge. That's probably not the right word, but slight different sort of style to them, depending on the direction he's going to go.
Yeah.
So, like, even the OVE theme he used to have was similar to his previous theme, but it had a slight different beat to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without, yeah, definitely, I
Yeah.
agree.
And this new one is very similar, but it's very, very so slightly different. It's a very subtle change, but
It's all about Sammy Callahan now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even the lyrics, they sound like they're going into a different direction.
Yeah,
And
they are effectively the narrative of the new, you know, this incarnation of Sammy Callahan.
Yeah.
You know, and focusing on what this version of Sammy Callahan is. I think the music he had before was sort of kind of like a stopgap until his music was done and set, and he was happy with it. So yeah, no, I really liked it, and of course we then get into the match itself. I mean, both of them had exposed skin. You know, the arms were available for both of them. The lower part of Eddie's legs obviously were available as well. So, you know, that was an interesting thing. But bottom line is, you know, this is a pretty brutal match, isn't it? It's you know, you don't know what's going to happen. You have to be very skilled performers to be able to pull a match like this off without seriously getting hurt. And you know, I thought some of the skits in there were really good, and I like the way they set some of them up prior to the actual match. So when they had a promo earlier on in the, I think it was in the pre-show, you know, Sammy literally, you know, lifts up his barbed wire covered video game controller, for instance.
Yeah.
Which then later on, of course, you know, that was like the, you know, an Easter egg or foreshadowing what we were going to see later, where we obviously had that introduced into the match. And I like the way they set this one up, because it's obvious it's a pay-per-view, it's live. They got no time to like take the ropes down, put a barbed wire all the way around it and all that kind of stuff. So I like the way that they again reinvented the barbed wire match, because you know they had the side thing, didn't they? The wire mesh with stuff, barbed wire read through it. They had the line of like a metal chain which had all the different weapons sort of kind of hanging from it, and there was like boards with the barbed wire on, and we had the bat and the Kenny the kendo stick. So there was a lot of barbed wire there, just wasn't around the ring like we've seen it previously. But it was good because, it, like I say, you know, why do we need to see the same thing again? You know, it was good to see a different version of a barbed wire match.
I reckon that's why they had to have the Karate Man match on before this, so they had time to set it up.
Oh yeah,
well, yeah, possibly. But I all I know is that, you know, it was a really really good match.
Yeah,
we saw some crazy stuff in there. I mean, there was blood. You know, we had some insane moves going on. You know, and both guys, when you thought Sammy was down, you know, he was clearly not. You know, he was kicking out of this, kicking out of that, and Eddie had to really you know, pull everything out, didn't he? He had to pull everything out to get the win, to get the 1, 2, 3. Do we think that this is the end of this feud, or is there still more to come?
I hope there's more to come. I think it's going to be a truce now between Sammy and Eddie Edwards as the AEW thing carries on. But this is a rivalry I don't ever want to see buried. Like I've said, it's the new Tommy Dreamer versus Raven. It's got, every time it comes up, it's got longevity, and it's like I said, Tommy Dreamer versus Raven, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. It's one of those rivalries that if you bring it back, it's going to stay fresh. And Sammy Callahan and Eddie Edwards do a great job and keep on making it original.
I think so too. I think it's just one of those. It's one of those feuds now that you could go away from it for a while. Both guys could do something completely different, but you know, at a point where you're like, oh, we could do with a you know, a badass match. Let's get the Callahan Edwards thing going again for a while.
Yeah.
You know, you could reignite it, and it only takes one sort of kind of like moment where Sammy's doing something that Eddie to one of Eddie's mates, and he comes running down to save him. And then we're back into the feud between Sammy and Eddie. It's not going to take a lot to bring that back. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I it may not be for a while, but I think in time there'll be matches between them again. You can't keep these two away forever.
No, definitely. And did you see,
No.
the chops were flying? You know, I mean, you know, if there was ever a T-shirt that should say "Chop City," it should be on an Eddie Edwards shirt.
Yeah, Eddie can hit some brutal chops, can't he?
Oh, bloody hell! You can have hear him as well.
Yeah. Although
you
I
know,
will say, I thought that pile driver from Sammy onto the board, that was going to do it.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the end. Christ.
Eddie Edwards got the Die Hard fusion. I said to him, Eddie, you've got to put this move in the match.
Yeah. What a move to finish it.
Yeah, it's a great tribute to his trainer in Japan.
Yeah, and great call out from oh God, I forgot his name.
Eddie Edwards, if you're watching,
commentator.
Yeah.
Matt Striker.
Striker, yeah, great call out from Striker for winning the title in Japan.
It was, you know, and that was something that happened all night. There was mentions of like loads of promotions. Like it wasn't just all AEW. It wasn't just they were mentioning New Japan. Like, you know, Noah was mentioned. You know, loads of stuff was mentioned last night. Which again is what added to the uniqueness of Hard to Kill, the whole kind of like interpromotional thing. That's what the theme of this show was, right? So I think that was great. But in the end, like you said, we ended up with Eddie winning, walking away. And I mean, Lish came out to see Eddie because he was definitely scratched up. There was blood. And she could tell he was banged up, so that was cool to see all of that happen. And
quite interesting. We had no run-ins; it was all clean.
Yeah, that's what I enjoyed the most about it. To be honest, was that nobody got involved. It literally was man versus man.
Yeah,
and it made the match a lot better, in my opinion. You just got to see these two go to hell on each other.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think sometimes that can be a complaint of Impact that, you know, there's way too many sort of kind of like, overbooking sometimes. Or there's a lot of, you know, like you say, people coming in to break up this or DQ finishes or, you know, not many clean wins. But I thought, you know, more recently we're starting to get more of that now. You know, because in reality, other than the DQ for Matt Cardona win, everything else was one clean.
Yeah.
So there you go. Fantastic, really. Yeah. But that was an amazing match. Amazing match.
I was thinking as well, it's quite interesting because I think I half assumed that Callahan winning would put him into the title picture because Swan's champion and they've got history.
Yeah.
But with Eddie winning, would that put him into the title picture? Because if Moose is going to take the title from him, Moose and Edwards have history, don't they?
Oh yeah, it's a long history between them two.
True. But again, or there's also history with Eddie and Ace. So there's so many places.
So many lines, isn't there?
There's so many places it can go now. So many places. And again, I'm also very excited to see, you know, where this all takes Sammy. I'm starting to see. I just don't know. I have a feeling we're going to start to see a reluctant face turn for Sammy. I know he's sort of kind of like, he's one of those characters. He's a heel, but he's one of those characters that you love to hate. Like you love him, even though you don't love him, if you know what I mean. Like he's a heel, but you still love him, right? So I have this feeling that Sammy's going to go down this route of almost because if we are going the way I think we're going with the whole AEW Impact thing, Impact's going to need some heroes, right? What better, or who better to be an anti-hero for Impact than Sammy Callahan?
Yeah, good call. Sammy Callahan, Moose, or Ace Austin would be the ideal anti-heroes, but Sammy Callahan needs it now. Because Moose and Rich Swann, Moose is going to be the next world champion. Then he's going to go on to fight Kenny Omega, or Kenny Omega is going to beat Rich Swann, and Moose will be the one that brings the title back to Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, exactly what I thought.
That's Moose done and dusted, and Ace Austin's going for the X division. So
So I'm going to say this now. I'm convinced that Moose is the next world champion. He is going to be the guy to take the title forward. However, from a storytelling point of view, right, for me, the eventual person to bring, say, if it goes to Kenny, for instance, right, if it goes away to AEW, almost like the ultimate anti-hero person to bring the title back would be Sammy.
That would be the most unpredictable outcome, and that would be a huge pop of the year.
And it would be and I think it would be a big thank you to Sammy for, sticking with the brand and doing everything that he's done over the past 3 years. He deserves it. He put himself on the chopping block when it comes to the Tessa Blanchard stuff. That didn't work out in the end. It must have, to him, he must have been like, what a waste of freaking time that was. All that effort I put into putting her over, to be credible, and it's totally wasted my reign. I could have carried on for at least another 2 or 3 months as champion.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd go on to at least go on to Rebellion before losing the title.
Yeah, exactly. It should have gone just that little bit further to give Sammy that little bit more time, but it didn't, and I just feel that Sammy deserves to potentially be the hero in the story for Impact Wrestling. But like I said, I'm sure it's going to end up being Moose. That's I think the way that they've built Moose now, the amount of time, money, it's been invested in bringing Moose to the point that when he takes that title, he's going to be a badass world champion. I think that's the way it's going to go. Because the other thing is as well is there are people in this company that are deserving of a world title run, but when you put that title on someone, you've got to give them a chance to run with it. You can't just take it off them within a couple of matches.
Exactly.
So if you're going to invest in Sammy, then he's got to take it for a little while. If you're going to invest in Moose, they've got to take it for a little while. Otherwise, it just becomes this flip-flop title that anyone could win on any night kind of thing, Yeah. So we need that stability in there. But anyway, either way, I'm glad to see Eddie win. I think that was great. Sammy's now going to go off. He's got Ken Shamrock, all sorts of stuff, I'm sure, in the pipeline. New theme music. Let's see where that goes. I'm looking forward to it. They both looked amazing. Both looked strong. Great match. Great match. We then, of course, move on. I think we had some backstage stuff, but let's just move on to the main event, where we've got Kenny and the Good Brothers. So we've got the AEW World Champion with the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions versus Rich Swann, the World Champion, Moose, the TNA Champion, and Chris Sabin, who is just, all-round badass wrestler. Sort of kind of almost, it's weird because people are billing this as almost like an AEW versus Impact match, but that doesn't make sense because the Good Brothers are Impact Tag Champions, regardless of whether they're aligning themselves with their friend. I don't think it was AEW versus. It wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't that.
It's Don Callis versus everybody else.
Kind of, yes.
In a way, it should be Bullet Club versus Impact.
Yeah, that's the subliminal part of it. But Don Callis is the ringleader. And so I still think we're going to get the Young Bucks coming in eventually onto Impact Wrestling to take on the Motor City Machine Guns.
Which would be an amazing match.
It would be great.
Or could we see the Guns go to AEW and the match happen there? I think somewhere along the line, there is got to be, yes, that would be great to see the Bucks come and do that match at Impact, but we can't have all the matches. Impact. It's got to go both ways. The AEW fans have got to see how good the Impact talents are.
Yeah, because we've had like multiple matches over here for them wrestling for our titles, but none of our wrestlers have gone over there wrestling for their titles.
No, not a title match yet. I mean, the Good Brothers have made an appearance over there, and I believe they've got a match tonight in the US. I think there's a match for them tonight.
Yeah.
It's starting to happen now, and I think now that we're past that initial set of tapings where the whole Kenny thing happened in the middle,
It will
they're now
start to
able
develop.
to really plan those storylines. And we're now going to see more crossovers between the two. And what we're going to see now is that it's all going to be must see. Like, if you don't watch Impact, you're going to miss something. If you don't watch the AEW, you're going to miss something. And I think that's how it's going to flip flop between the two. Different things going on either way. You know, again, this past week on Impact, we saw Tony Khan turn up. You know, end up being ringside. There's shenanigans going on. They're playing the. What I'd like to say. Here's an analogy for you. Okay, this is what I see happening. I know people are moaning because of the outcome of the Rich Swann getting pinned thing by Kenny. I know people are moaning a little bit, and of course, this past week we also got another loss. With the AEW private party turning up and beating Beer Guns. So look at it this way, okay? AEW are the bigger brand. So in this story, they are the Empire, right?
Yeah.
Okay, they're the Empire. So, and Impact are like this small band of rebels.
Yeah.
Right? They're the small brand of rebels. And in this story, you have to have the bad guy kind of getting to build this sort of kind of like story that's being told. They've got to get those wins. You've got to have a reason to dislike them, right? So they do that by coming in and beating us on our own show, kind of thing, right? So we get all of that stuff going on. But the little band of rebels, right, have got, you know, they've got some tools. You know, they've got some Jedis in their arsenal, and eventually we're going to get, you know, the rebels invade AEW, or we get this AEW versus we get this big thing going on, and eventually the rebels are going to come out on top. But you have to build to that for then this bit to be a really, really big payoff.
I think it's building to Fighter Fest, because Matt Striker dropped its name in during the match with Private Party and Beer Guns. I think they're building this massive rivalry, and it's all going to come together at AEW Fighter Fest. Yeah,
possibly.
What date is Fighter Fest?
That's about August, I think, July or August.
That's a long storyline.
Yeah, but whatever happens on this has got to be at the prime time, hasn't it? The summer is the big point. That is the summer season of wrestling is where it all happens, right? So, you
never know. Maybe we can get fans back in by then.
WrestleMania season kind of thing. You know, that's where it's got to happen. It's got to be a big draw, and I can see this happening in a big 60,000 seater if, you know, all the COVID testing gets done and we get people back in. If not, at least at the Jaguars, at least at the stadium, it could be there where you can at least get some fans in, like they've been doing at the moment, you know, whatever they could do with that. So it'd be interesting to see where this whole kind of storyline gets in. What I do want to say is about this main event is that it was just like, you know, corner to corner, outside to inside. It was fast paced. There were some incredible moves going on. Moose was absolutely outstanding.
That Spanish fly to Kenny Omega, I did not see that coming. Moose nearly hit the ceiling. The height he got on that, and just how tall he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then into the cradle shock, I thought it was over.
Oh, you know, it was just an absolutely insane moment. There was some amazing stuff from the Good Brothers. You know, there was great stuff from Kenny. Rich got some really good stuff in. Like, he really had an opportunity to shine in this match, as did Saban. But Saban was more of a backseat. He was just there to you know, I think to make sure that Moose and Rich got their moments to shine. There was more of those two than there was Saban. And again, there was more of Kenny than there was the Good Brothers. So it was a really, really incredible match. I mean, I love the face-off between Big Doc Gallows and Moose. That was pretty cool. And the thing is, like, Moose and Doc have got very similar body shapes. You know, I mean, they're roughly the same height. They're the same sort of build. They've both got these really long limbs. Like, their arms are really long.
Yeah.
So when they do, like, you know, like European uppercuts and stuff like that, they just look so badass when they do it. again, Doc's the best seller of the sort of kind of uppercut and the hooks coming in and the uppercut. You know what I mean? He just sells that so well. It was just I don't know. You just didn't know who was going to win. Everybody got their offense in, and it was just literally a slugfest. It was an amazing match.
The best thing was the ending wasn't anticlimactic. The ending was just as exciting as when it began.
No, definitely. I mean, what was your favorite moment in the entire match, Steve?
To be honest, my favorite moment has got to be what Joe mentioned. That's run up to the top rope, Spanish fly, and then into that cradle shock.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. I'm gonna say.
Although shout out to Kenny for that snap suplex. That was impressive.
Yeah, that was good too. But I think you're right with the Spanish fly.
Yeah.
That was just insane. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, the Spanish fly and the standing moonsault Moose had done. Yeah, he got to show that he's not just going to be one of these strong style athletes. He's reminding everyone that he can do a lot of high fly. He's like Brian Cage. He can do a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect him to do. And Moose really shone through in this match, as did and Kenny Omega hitting the old school version of the electric chair, where he drops them on their face rather than drop them on their back. I've not seen that since Edge did it.
Yeah,
and that was back in the late 90s.
That was Attitude Era stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. I love that move. It's one of my favorite moves, along with the Tombstone Power Drive or the Prettier. It's one of those moves that really gets me going, holy shit. And it was just so, the One Winged Angels is such a great finishing move too. So for Rich Swann to take that and lose, it's just, there's no shame there.
And nobody kicks out of the one wing angel, mate. Nobody.
Yeah.
It's a lost art now where finishing moves are protected.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we don't see that as much as we do, but it's great to see that with that particular move. So all in all, I think we had a fantastic main event, and it lived up to the billing of like the amount of kind of promotion it got, the amount of people, the amount of interest it created. It without doubt lived up to the billing. It was a fantastic main event. Yes, the Impact World Champion got pinned by the AEW World Champion, but that just adds to the story. Ladies and gentlemen.
It can go a couple of ways now, can't it? Either Kenny takes the belt off of Swan and then Moose takes it off him, like you said, like Joe said, or Moose takes the belt off of Swan and then goes for Kenny. So they teased that, didn't they? Teased that with Don.
What I know is that it's several moments during that main event we got to see how good a match between Rich Swann and Kenny Omega could be.
Yeah.
But then I'd also love to see Moose versus Kenny, because that looked great as well.
I agree. I mean, like I said, my thought process on this one is that Rich is going to lose to Kenny at some point, and then it's going to be either Moose or someone like Sammy that's going to win it back from Kenny, I think. But who knows? Who knows?
On a side note, if Shelley's ever injured, and obviously we didn't get that this week because we got someone else. If Shelley is ever injured, Swan and Sabin together, they work flipping well together.
Yeah. That would be a great tag team as well. So there's so many options that are available now. What I do know is that this is probably this pay-per-view is going to be really, really hard to beat this year. I mean, even, and this is what got me. I was watching the What Culture's ups and downs the other day. Okay, and even What Culture gave Hard to Kill like 10 ups and 3 downs. So it was just up, everything from top to finish. It was a fantastic pay-per-view, and it will, not only is it hard to kill, it's going to be hard to beat. Leading forward. So I'm very, very excited to see where all of this goes. We also had during the pay-per-view, we also had obviously the promo to introduce Rebellion, which is going to be Saturday, April the 24th. So make sure you put that one in your diaries, guys. Rebellion. April 24th, another Saturday night pay-per-view, exactly where it should be during this pandemic. Get it on a Saturday night. That's what I say. Let's all huddle around and watch a pay-per-view on a Saturday night, and stay up late if you're in the UK and have a nice lay-in on a Sunday. Beautiful. Beautiful. We love it. So we got that Rebellion. Now there's a little sneaky there was a little sneaky emblem, wasn't there, in that Rebellion promo in there, and there was the Amiga sign was in there. So I think we can safely say that this storyline is definitely continuing. This collaboration between AEW and Impact is moving forward at least until April to Saturday, the 24th of, so at Rebellion, we're at least getting that far. We know that now. So we've got several weeks to enjoy this collaboration. We've got our first taste of it this past week with Matt Hardy turning up, Private Party turning up, Tony Khan, Jerry Lynn in the sat ringside. So we've got a lot of things going on now. It's going to be interesting to see exactly where this is now going to go over this set of tapings and the AEW shows now leading the road to Rebellion is started, shall we say. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. It's been a great chat today, guys. I think we've gone quite some time.
Yeah, we've gone nearly 2 hours, I think.
Wow. I think this is the longest one we've ever done, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, it is. Ironically, after Impact last night, I felt, if you check my Twitter account, the first post I put up was, we're going to need an extra hour to cram all this in.
Yeah, I think we spent a good 40 minutes just on the news items at the beginning today. So yeah, we spent a little bit of time, but there's a lot to go over. There's a lot to talk about. We've got Steve now giving his ideas, which is adding to it. So we got so many things. But do you know what, guys? This is just our opinions on all of this. We have different opinions. We've got different ideas on where these things are going. Please leave us your comments. Let us know what you think. Where do you think this AEW and Impact Wrestling collaboration is going to go in the future? We now know from this past week on Impact and that an amazing main event that we could have some amazing stuff moving forward on Impact and with AEW Dynamite as well. So I think we're moving forward now into must-see TV for both shows. You're going to miss stuff if you don't get to watch them both. It's going to be amazing. We also know that Kenny is going to get at least we're going to get Kenny at least up to Rebellion, and we've got that announced already. What is interesting as well, and this was mentioned in another chat that I was reading, the way that AEW have set up their pay-per-views, it's on the opposite months, 2 hours.
Yeah,
so they literally sit in between, which is great because we're not going to have a clash now, and again, it's going to work the same way. I think we're going to be in a situation whereby, like, you have to watch Impact Wrestling pay-per-view and Impact Wrestling show to see what's going on with this storyline. If you go and miss the AEW pay-per-view, pardon me, you're going to miss something. You know what I mean? You're going to miss something, and then it's all it's going to start working both ways. And I love the way that this is going. I think if you're an AEW fan, you've got to start watching Impact. And if you're an Impact fan and you don't watch AEW in the moment, you need to start watching it. Yeah. Let's start to get the benefits from cross-promoting, guys. Let's start working together. Only together can we beat, well, not necessarily beat, but can we compete with the beast from up north? We've got to do this, and I think it's going to be amazing. And I hope to see New Japan getting involved a bit more. Maybe AAA would be good. I know that there's a couple of AAA talents that are turning up at Impact at this tapings. I don't know what they're going to be doing, but I've heard a few things through the grapevine. So, maybe we're working with them as well. Maybe we could see some New Japan guys. I still think we're going to get Jay White. We'll have to wait and see. So, I think there's a lot of potential in there. But like I said, leave your comments, guys. If you like the content of today, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. That's how we get in people's timelines. Give us a thumbs up. Share us around wherever you can. Let people know about Impacted. And don't forget to give us a subscription, give the channel a subscription, the Total Nonstop Impact channel. You know, we've broken 1,000 now. I think we're 1,140 something. So, you know, we're breaking that seal. We're getting more and more subs.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like you say, the more subs you get, you know, the more, even more we're going to get moving forward. So keep giving the thumbs it up. Please leave us comments because we like to interact with you guys. I love to hear all your thoughts. I really do.
I still say let's get 1.25 by Valentine's Day.
Yes, one in a quarter. Well, yeah, 1,250 subs by Valentine's Day. I reckon we could do it. We've now got the handsome Steve on board. I reckon he's going to at least pull in the sub, at least one. So who knows?
I'll do my best to get one.
Okay, fair play. So, Steve, do you want to plug us? Where can we find you on the socials?
You can find me over on the Twitter at James D. Steve.
Okay, and Joe?
You can follow me on Twitter at Joe-ker empty space. If you want to find me on Facebook, hashtag empty space, hashtag the void, hashtag is a daily giggle, and you'll find me somewhere.
Definitely. It's definitely worth a follow, guys. His daily giggles alone are worth a follow. That's for sure. Yeah, go and check out Joe. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable about Impact Wrestling. He loves to talk wrestling, as does our new friend, Steve. So welcome to the TNI UK team, Steve.
Thank you very much.
I'm hoping as time goes on, we may introduce a few other bits and pieces that you can get involved in. So that could be quite interesting. Same with Joe; he's doing a few bits and bobs. Hopefully, we'll start seeing some of that soon. But yeah, if you want to know where to find me, guys, I'm at Lord Bison 45 on the Twitter. That's pretty much where I do all my wrestling stuff. I do a little bit on Facebook, but primarily I do my wrestling talk on Twitter. So if you want to interact with me, please follow. You know, I share everything I possibly can with regards to Impact Wrestling, and I'm starting to do with AEW now too. So and I post lots of interesting questions. So I definitely need to know all of your thoughts. So that's pretty much it for today. I've been Lord Bison. He has been Joe-ker, and that has been simply Steve. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care.
See ya.